leave it all here on the stage.
I mean, there's a huge amount of pressure here up against for JDG, or GG against JDG. Shingdong Gaming are absolutely insane at the moment. Like, it's going to be an uphill battle, but we'll have to see if Golden Guardians can try and fight.
I mean, it's easy for Golden Guardians. You just focus the weak link, and oh wait, Ruler's in the bot lane, so we're not going to go there.
Okay.
Well, oh, Knight's in mid lane. Maybe not going to be there either. Well, we could just go. We can invade Kanavi. Okay. Oh, that's going to be a problem. I'm not sure where they're going to go.
Yeah, there might be some issues in trying to find a weak link on a super team like JDG, but it all has to start here in the draft. Let's take a look at how it goes down. K'Sante, Kennen, and Ari banned out by JDG. Golden Guardians getting rid of the Nidalee, the Annie, and the Vi. Maokai, the first pick here for JDG.
I mean, what I'm looking for from Golden Guardians is to just play with confidence. You cannot go into a matchup like this afraid. Of course, JDG are monstrous favorites. Everyone knows that. You know, it's really them alongside the LCK teams, I think, are people looking at potential as MSI champions. This is a super team to end all super teams. They're ridiculously stacked across the board. So I want to see GG go with new picks, go with confidence, look for fights, just have faith in your abilities and hope that you can make something magic happen.
I mean, this could be one of them. It looks like River hovering at carry here. Bel'Veth and Kha'Zix are the two. That'd be so sick to see them brought out. Aphelios already locked in as well. I know from back domestically, Ruler definitely preferred to go towards the Jinx, so I imagine we're probably going to see that as a response, but I'm excited to see if they do bring out something different, but it's back to basics.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, Sejuani just far, far too powerful throughout. Honestly, the entirety of spring, this champion has been a very big presence in the meta.
Yeah.
Not surprised to see it locked in here in the game one. But JDG, they're going to lock in the Jace for themselves, as well as the Jinx there for Ruler in the bottom lane.
All right, so I'm looking for a melee pairing here from one of the solo lanes now, you know, for Licorice, for Gory, and where are they going to go? Licorice had been known to go towards a lot of carries during playoffs, you know, things like Olaf. He's willing to go towards really aggressive picks. I think that could be a strong pairing, unless they want to bring out something like a Sylas perhaps for Gory.
Yeah, I think they're going to struggle a little bit, though, if you end up going towards the super short range, because just look at how much range is there with the Jace and the Jinx now locked in. It feels like you need things to try and close the distance, and Nautilus does fit that bill relatively well.
So we've got a Nautilus, we've got a Sejuani on the side of Golden Guardians, as well as the Aphelios there to be the big damage carry. This is how the Golden Guardians have played a lot of their games, putting faith in Stixxay, putting the economy and the resources in Stixxay later on, and he's got these guys for the CC and the front line to protect him. But that range that you're talking about on JDG, you gotta be careful
But this is also what we've basically seen coming out from the LCK teams, right? Like, you stick the Nautilus mid, you go for these mega tanks in front of your Aphelios, and just have a bunch of engage and let the Aphelios do the work. So it definitely feels like Golden Guardians have kind of taken a leaf out of that book and are going to go for that style.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, right? I think that Nautilus could also easily be going down towards Hui. It is obviously a flex pick. The Jace could be Knight or 369 piloting this, so there are flex picks on both sides. You know, Hui is not one to shy away from these engage champions. Even when they're not meta, he loves going towards these early aggressive engage champions like the Set, the Amumu, things that are really in his wheelhouse.
Well, the first half of the draft sees us looking at junglers and marksmen for both teams, as well as what could be a couple of flex picks there in that third slot. So with the second half now coming around, it's Golden Guardians focusing on the supports. They want to take out the Lulu and the Renata. Both are adept at enabling and supporting hyper carries like a Jinx, so they don't want to deal with that. While JDG is looking at some of the things they've already drafted, like a Maokai ult, for instance, and saying, let's keep Sylas off of the table for that. Yone, also one of those picks that not everybody in the world plays, but Gory is comfortable on.
Yeah, absolutely. And clearly JDG is not convinced that this is a Nautilus mid. They're still banning out some of the melee carry pairings that Gory would be playing here. Sylas is always an obvious one for me when Sejuani comes through, so it's going to be Psy on top. I do think we're waiting for fifth pick mid, unless they're going to go for a really spicy support counter pick. I do think this is likely to be a support Scion, but we'll have to see what they want to do. Clearly Golden Guardians trying to hold that till the last moment to really try to pick for some sort of an advantageous matchup. If the Gwen were to come through, it's really only carry versus carry matchups that can have much of a chance in it. So the Scion is going to be so much on that back foot, you know, really just trying to absorb the pressure, trying to survive.
Yeah, and I think now you just lock in something like a Thresh here in the bot lane, make sure that then, you know, Gwen can take care of herself, Maokai's going to be fine to play front line, and you've got that reposition tool if you need to for some of these long-range carries. Disengage isn't always a bad option as well, so it could be the Braum too, but it's the same idea. Look, let's just try and keep the Golden Guardians at bay and free hit them from the back line.
Well, a little bit more time. Okay, the Braum going to get locked in there, so not something as much of a get-out-of-jail-free card as a Thresh would be or something that can save Jinx directly, but okay, we've got the Jax. locked in, and yeah, that means Sion is now switched over, because you guys were just talking about, hey, Gwen's only really threatened by another carry.
Yeah.
Well, here comes the Jax copter.
So I was thinking that it was still going to be Nautilus support, but I wasn't expecting the Sion to move towards mid. So this is interesting because, normally, as I was saying, Licorice is willing to play these carry matchups and see what he can get done. Jax is one of the carries I do actually really like into the Gwen. I do think it can sometimes be difficult early, but if you can actually get up to a couple items, you can definitely start to outscale. You can start to win out in those 1v1s. More difficult to team fight on the Jax, I would say, than the Gwen on the other side, but Sion is going to try to slot in a similar way that a Cassante would mid, and Sion is a great matchup into the Jace here. You can even go towards something like Comet if you want. It's not a long lane, so it's difficult for the Jace to really abuse this, and I actually like what Golden Guardians have drafted.
Yeah, I think it was a really good idea. The only thing I'm worried about is just the amount of push they have then in mid and bot, like the opportunity for them to try and put some pressure on towards River. And that's kind of where JDG have found a lot of success in the early game when you look at them domestically, is trying to find ways to use that push with Kanavi and get aggressive. It's why they have the most kills in the early game across the entirety of the LPL.
And not only do they have all of these kills, it's not like they need to have more numbers there. These guys are adept. They are so individually skilled. For Golden Guardians, they've got to have their heads on straight coming into this matchup. You cannot be trying to take some YOLO trades. You cannot be trying to ego on JDG, because this is a team that is absolutely merciless, and especially in the early game.
Absolutely. I mean, they are just ridiculously strong individuals. I would say, and I don't know if you agreed, Egda, but I would say JDG is the best laning team in the world. I think that they are just so tough to deal with because of that, because every lane is so damn strong.
Oh.
He can just go either. Not gonna be able to get anything.
I know. It's the appearance of everybody pouring out of the fog. It's like, man, I do not want to be around here any longer. So 369, he'll get himself out of there. Featured matchup in the top lane. 369 versus Licorice. Okay.
We have a spicy matchup to start it, and JDG are actually looking for something here with the Braum. We'll see if they can tag. They're fine, so they should be able to back it off, but they do get at least a little bit of that first strike gold. Worth noting, it is Ignite TP for 369, so he is really going more for that 1v1, less for kind of the team fight prowess. A lot of people would go Ghost if they want to go more for the utility, but Ignite gives you that kill pressure, especially early on, where I do already think this is a Gwen-favored matchup. So it's going to be difficult for Licorice. He's going to have to play it really carefully.
And I think if you are a player who has that level of confidence, if you are a guy who has that level of skill, then investing in your own ability to just take those trades, find those solo kills, and snowball this game to the point of no return very early on, very viable.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly where you're going to end up struggling a little bit here as Golden Guardians, especially if you can get Kanavi up towards that top side and try to look for that kill pressure. And even, as we said, like Knight, in a couple of waves should have push pressure here, and that's going to make it incredibly hard then for Golden Guardians to try and play around this top side. And yes, you've got that, double melee where you can try and play along the Sejuani, but there's just so little damage on this top side in the early stages, it feels a little bit mitigated.
Yeah, it is going to be difficult for sure, but there's no easy answers when you're going up a team as stacked as JDG, right? At the end of the day, you're going to have to draft for comfort, and you're going to have to play the best of your ability, really hit that 100% mark to have a chance.
And the only person who really has that experience against like JDG or even Knight is Gory, right? Had that one split in the LPL, but wasn't able to find success against Knight or against JDG either. So I think he's definitely going to be giving his team a little bit of a heads up on what they might be in stock for.
And as we're waiting to get into like the first big play attempts being made really anywhere across the map, it's important to note that both of these teams are the fastest in their regions. Golden Guardian has the fastest average win time. JDG just has the fastest games. And so it's really important for Golden Guardians to make sure that they're not just playing afraid as well.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to be respectful, but they still need to be making attempts. This is a team that is not afraid to leave their lanes, try to roam around and force things to happen, and I think that's kind of what they would have to go with to try to catch JDG off guard.
Yeah, the hardest part of JDG is that, as Isaiah was kind of mentioned earlier, they're so strong in lanes. Like, they love playing around 369 and Knight, around that top side with Kanavi, but they just end up leaving Ruler and missing on this bot lane, and they've been incredible at just orchestrating their own leads. Like, when you look at it, 15 CSD on average at the 15-minute mark for Ruler in that bot side. It's been insane to see how those individual lanes have stepped up for JDG.
Yeah, River's up to the top side, but you got to be careful when you're low HP against an Ignite Gwen like this. Oh, this plant didn't actually spot him. He must be in the very corner of that brush. So this could actually bait 369 into going aggressive here. It doesn't look like it. It looks like Licorice is just going to take the reset. So he does get the push. They cover for the reset. Now River has been spotted, but would be first move here from Knight. So he does have to be somewhat respectful.
Back through in mid lane, Kanavi's just going to force Gory back here a little bit. as that topside Scuttle Crab goes over to the Golden Guardians. You can see the TP being used from 369 just to get himself back to lane. Licorice doing the same thing, so both of our top laners going to go ahead for that first back here already. Neither one of the mid laners has done so yet, but with both currently channeling their recalls, all 4 of those solo lane teleports are going to be pretty synced up. Very important here 5 or 6 minutes from now to see when those are going to get involved again.
I like what Kanavi's doing at the moment, though. So obviously they trade Scuttle Crabs on the map, but he's getting deep vision now onto the Sejuani camps respawn on the bottom side. And a huge amount of this is kind of leaning into what we're talking about, is trying to use the push that Ruler and Knight will have to move into that and see if they can take over the map. Yes, the wave is pushing away from them now, but Ruler should be okay.
Oh, nice engage there from Huhi. Missing, going to get caught by the hook, but that means they can't really do a whole lot more. It is Braum, pretty easy to disengage from that one.
Yeah, and I think this is more of just a coverage play here. 6A is actually pretty low on health and doesn't have a potion remaining, so I was thinking he was just going to try to help them push it out. Does at least get that ward in Tri-Brush, so Kanavi will be spotted, but now they're in this awkward position where they are going to have to back it up, knowing that the jungler is in the area, but the wave is not in a great spot here, and it's not a cannon wave, so if you base now, they could just hard shove this, and you are going to miss quite a bit.
And it looks like, unfortunately, that's kind of where they're at. You can see Stixay channeling the recall now. Huhi's just going to occupy as much time as he can from JDG, who will get this shoved in. Jinx rockets make it pretty easy to blast down that back line.
Yeah.
And with this about to collide into the turret, it's exactly what you're saying, man. They force Golden Guardians back. They make Stixay lose some of those resources.
Yeah, he's going to lose at least a full wave, if not more. You know, that's about 2 waves worth that are actually crashing right there. And you can see just the CS difference is already 20 off of that. You know, it was a lot closer earlier on, but a good little bit of pressure. The recall not able to be stopped here, and we'll see if Stixay can get any of this.
Yeah, you can see who he was trying to wait for when one player had already recalled, hit that magic sweet spot of just a fraction of a second to stop the other recall. Unfortunately, the timing not there means that nothing good comes of it. Golden Guardians behind a couple hundred gold here, but not a whole lot, as we're still 0 kills in 6 minutes into the game. Nobody's really been able to find a whole lot just yet. First Drake is the Hex Drake down there in the bottom side. We'll see if anybody pays attention to it. Golden Guardians in particular, not a really Drake-focused team.
You see Kanavi keeps thinking about going for these plays on the top side, but it's just not quite working out. Trying to see if he can cover for Rivers plays potentially here, but we'll spot out Licorice now as he starts to make his way in, but should be totally fine. At least you don't get the ward down to spot out exactly where Kanavi is.
It is also interesting that Kanavi's actually playing First Strike, so he probably is going more of that AP style build, even though they do have the Gwen. So it is going to be much more about that poke, you know, between the poke from the Saplings, the poke from the Jace, the long range from this. Oh god, 6A is very likely dead.
Flashed away, but it's not enough. The choppers are behind him, and Jinx is in front. It's first blood over to Ruler.
Ruler just about able to get forward to get the chompers down to make that awkward, but Stixay just barely clipped by Missing, and it sets up beautifully for the first blood.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how that initial play began, because Hui wasn't there with him, so 6A pretty far up in lane. It does cost all 4 summoners from JDG, but they get the first blood, and they get it on Ruler, and 6A is now completely out of this lane. This lane is beyond over. You're down about 30 CS, plus your opponent has first blood. It's not going to be something that you're really going to be able to come back from in that 2v2. So 6A is just going to be relegated to just trying to accept whatever waves are pushed into him and really going to be on that back foot.
And that's rough in any game, but especially when you look at the composition Golden Guardians are playing in this game. 3 meatballs meant to protect an Aphelios, and if Aphelios isn't relevant, all of a sudden, what's the rest of the comp even going to do?
Yeah, what are you protecting?
Yeah, and I mean, it's only going to get worse from here, especially as you can look towards Kanavi starting to move down, looking for dragons at level 6, but you're just going to get the replay here, so just hops forward to a minion. 6A way too far pushed up in this one.
Yeah, 6A saw him. You know, I thought it was going to be something like where 6A stepped forward to actually hit the minion, and then he jumps over the wall and actually gets him. But, you know, in this case, he had vision of him, so just not respectful stuff, and you can kind of see a little bit of a smirk there. It looks like on Ruler's face, and 6A knows he definitely messed that one up. But Golden Guardians will be able to secure the dragon, so nicely done from them on that bottom side, but it's already a 1.4k gold lead, and we're only 8 minutes in here. It's going to be a problem for Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians can at least take that consolation prize with the dragon. 8 minutes in, so not exceptionally early, and they still have to deal with the problem of you're only 1 Drake there. So if they keep building gold up gold up against you like this, well, you're not going to be able to continue just walking in and taking.
And I imagine that they'll be able to move up towards Riftchild here as well. For JDG, you can see the resets from Ruler are missing on the bottom side. Kanavi's already up here, so they can start to rotate towards mid and make sure that they've got the quicker move as Kanavi already moving over.
Yep, you can see the pathing from Ruler and Missing, just heading straight up into the top side there. Kanabi now inside the pit, throws the sapling over the wall to give him an extra heads up if Golden Guardians are moving up behind that pit instead. As Licorice gets into the 1v1 with 369, but it's not a fight that he's winning, especially not with Kanabi on the way. 369 drops the Ignite, forces out the flash from the Golden Guardians top lane.
Yeah, Licorice had to flash there. If he got hit by the slow, that would have been a disaster as the rest of JDG were on the way, but now Golden Guardians trying to contest.
Golden Guardians looking for the engage. He's already found it. They go in. They manage to find the kill on Ruler, and the Golden Guardians are on the board.
A big hook there from Hui. Flashes in, finding Ruler, who had no sum, so they're going to get that kill. And they should be able to claim the Herald here as well. So Golden Guardians going right at him, not shying away from this fight. They knew they could capitalize on the fact that those summoners were missing. And it is 369 cheating down. It looks like JDG potentially want to re-engage here, but 369 does not have his ultimate, neither does Kanabi.
Ruler is also on the bottom side, so be a bit of a weird one if they wanted to. Missing stepping forward, yeah, I think he's just going to go top side, but might get caught.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird pathing though. You know, JDG were kind of like, Ruler's heading bot, but JDG were still hanging around in the area. Support's still staying in that area. So potentially Missing was worried about a collapse onto 369 because he was trying to reset that wave. So staying top to maybe just cover him.
It kind of baited Stixay to move back up towards the top side as well. So you're actually going to get a bit of free time now for Ruler on the bottom end of the map. So at least it does kind of work out slightly for JDG where they get at least that play back. But big win for Golden Guardians managing to get that ripped out.
Yep, Golden Guardians still about 1,000 gold behind, but with the Herald and the Drake now in their pocket, it doesn't feel quite as bad. We'll have to wait and see what sort of situation they're going to use that Eye of the Herald in to see how much value they can get from it. But River now looking for an opportunity on 369 here. No Ghost, no Flash, no defensive summoners available here for the Gwen. He will not escape, and Licorice gets the kill.
Well played by Golden Guardians. They get that Herald, they get a kill back on this top side. The entire gold lead is Ruler, so Golden Guardians can fight anywhere that Ruler is not and be on even terms, right? And they are not shying away. They're trying to attack these missing summoners, attack these missing cooldowns. 369 had really overstayed his welcome. You know, Missing was up there for a while, helping him to reset the wave, but he greeted, potentially trying to finish another item and tried to push out that X wave. Gets killed for it.
And I mean, we might even see the punishment now again on the bot side. River immediately moving in here. Ruler's flash isn't quite up, does have the Ghost available.
River looking for the engage here on bottom side. They missed the Glacial Prison, but they got the follow-up coming in from Nautilus. Ruler tries to get away, but he goes fishing, and River lands him a kill. Second death on Ruler this game.
He finds Kanavi and also Missing. They're just going to continue to push in. They can easily take these plates here.
And the Herald comes out. They're thinking about fighting these guys here a little bit, but Stixay's not around to do any damage to the enemy targets. They got to be careful about this. Knight's making his way down here. Golden Guardians try to disengage. He's sticking around too long. He gives away a free kill. And now Golden Guardians have to retreat even further. River and Stixay take damage from the Super Mega Death Rocket, but they'll escape before night arrives.
They do lose their support, but they get a kill on Ruler. They get 3 plates on that bottom tower, and that is really, really big here. They're trying to get some gold back on Stixay. He was over 1K behind. He's now down 500. It is unfortunate that they haven't been able to give any of these kills to him, but still, Stixay's back in it, and Golden Guardians are being competitive.
I was going to say, Golden Guardians are playing this incredibly well.
Yeah.
The fact that they're using these advantages elsewhere to now bring it down to Stixay to try and right some of the wrongs that were there. Like, this is exactly what you need to do. As we said, this composition relies so heavily on Stixay, so the fact they're getting him back into this game is so crucial.
And you can see Divine Sunderer completed on Licorice up there in the top side. Having that mythic item, we know how effective that makes Jax. Yeah. The stronger trades, the healing. In a carry versus carry matchup, if one of these guys can start getting that momentum, start building that up, it becomes difficult to answer. Here's another look at what went down in bottom lane.
This is actually just great from Hui. Hex Flash over the wall, max range hook to that wall there, and then actually able to get in range for the ultimate. So even though it's a nice sidestep on River's engage, Hui's been on point.
Hui's been such a monster all MSI long. Like, we were praising his set earlier on, his Amumu engages and planes were absolutely insane, and now we're seeing it against potentially one of the best teams in the world. Hui is stepping up huge for Golden Guardians.
And overstaying a little bit here, trying to get those plates. They do get the 3rd plate, but it is Hui giving up his life for it. And Golden Guardians right back to the river here. Going to be trying to take their 2nd dragon of the game. They don't have push in mid, though, so Knight is moving down. They do have push through bot. Ruler is coming out now. We'll see if they want to get this fight, because there could be an engage angle for Gory. Here he comes!
Golden Guardians are ready to go in. They try to engage on the enemy jungler, but they aren't able to find the damage in time. JDG can disengage it thanks to Kanavi's flash, and now they're ready for the counterattack. River's already dead, and Ruler got the money. They throw down the chompers, and they beat down the Guardians. Knight gets away back into the safety of the pit as Kanavi tries to buy a little more time. A shot from downtown from Knight, and Gory's running for the hills. Ruler finds another one, and JDG tear him in half.
They shut the door on Golden Guardians. A fantastic fight from JDG, managing to just find those kills. Ruler with the Super Mega Death Rocket, and then just free firing towards the end of that fight to finish off the team.
Yeah, he comes in, he gets that first reset with his ultimate from long range. That gives him the move speed to get quickly into that fight and really take over. We have to give so much credit to Missing on these plays. He's been really on point, blocks the engage here from Gory with the E, taking no damage from that, and then he finds his opportunity here as Knight has chipped him down a little bit. Missing flashes in Q, then the knockup comes through. Here's the ulti for the reset. That gets Ruler into the bottom of the fight from the bottom there, gets that second kill. There's no way out for Gory and Stixxay, so all they can do is fight forward here, try to get one back. It is a double kill for Stixxay, but really well played for Missing. He was the X factor in that fight.
Brilliant stuff there. You can see Golden Guardians trying to look in the back lines. Not going so hot for them. But again, I think this is where at least a good start for them. It's just unfortunate now you got 4 kills onto the Jinx. A Cole completed as well. Kraken Slayer with the Zeal. She is huge, and we're back towards the Dragon with Golden Guardians nowhere in the vicinity.
I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
It's if you continue to fall behind, if the gold keeps going the other way, trying to take more of those Drakes could result in some big problems. Golden Guardians stepping up into the enemy jungle, recognizing that their opponents were down in the Drake. It means they can have man advantage on the other side of the map. Yes, it's not as good of an objective to take as a Drake, but at least you get the blue.
Well, the funny thing is, the gold leads that they're showing there look massive, but that's about their average in the LPL. They're nearly 2,000 gold ahead at 15 on average in their games. So, they are very difficult to deal with, but that is a tower taken on that top side by Licorice, who is really strong. He's going to be a big source of power here for the Golden Guardians. He is actually significantly ahead of 369 now with the tower going down. It's an 800 gold advantage there for Licorice, so we'll have to see what can he get done in the side lanes, and if he's going to join these fights, can he make some magic happen?
It's a bit tough for him at the moment, though. As you can see, JDG shoving made immediately move across into Rift Herald, so not quite able to use the vision that they had established in that top side as part of the cross map. And now JDG probably going to just try and plonk this in the mid lane. They should be able to push Stixxay back here.
Yeah, and I always find it's very difficult for Jax to team fight against champions like the Braum, like the Maokai. It's so much feeling. If you jump in, you're going to get locked down, and there's more than enough damage on the other side to burst you out. So this tower likely to fall here for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, JDG is so good at ballooning those early leads into huge mid-game leads. River's coming in to try to at least stop him, make something happen here. Missing with an easy dash, getting himself away from the follow-up of the Guardians, and JDG just casually brushes it off.
It was a nice attempt from Golden Guardians. You can see the idea. You know that the Rift Herald's going to be coming down mid. We have pushed in side lane, see if we can collapse quickly onto the mid lane, but just not quite able to get into position in time to do so. But I like the idea, and Golden Guardians aren't shying away from fighting JDG whenever they can.
Yeah, not at all, and you can't be afraid of this team, because if you back off against JDG, if you seed every time they push forward and look for an objective, they're going to take the whole map. And this is a team that snowballs games incredibly effectively. Yeah. You have to be willing to kind of make that mark in the sand where you're going to look for these fights, and we see Huhi up on this top side. Are they going to look for some sort of a sneaky play? Have someone TP in on that ward, potentially look for a wraparound? We can see multiple members from Golden Guardians are wrapping up here, and they're not going to expect Huhi, who is behind Knight, so I think they are going to look for this.
All right, can Knight get away from it? Huhi goes in, drops the depth charge. Now can they get
Double
the follow-up?
TPs,
Missing is already there. Licorice coming around, trying to see if there's an angle, but it ain't gonna happen. 369 has cut off the escape. He's buying a little bit more time as the damage continues pouring in, and JDG grabbed the first kill. It'll be traded back 1-for-1 with both top laners dropping as Huhi's barely hanging on to life. The turret goes down even because Ruler's back in the mid lane. It's an even fight in a 4v5, and JDG are the ones still pushing forward.
And JDG don't look like they're done. The knockup from Gory.
And Navi getting caught here a little bit. Got to be careful about it, but Stixxay's already down instead. Kanavi gets away, and Knight is showing the Golden Guardians how the LPL gets it done.
Knight is just going crazy there. Yes, JDG are down members, but it's only 6A who can do deal damage. So as soon as Knight gets in, it actually takes him out. The rest of the members have nothing left in the tank. Licorice went down early, and then it's really only 6A who can threaten. So JDG now out of almost nowhere, open up a 5K gold lead as Ruler knocked down multiple turrets in mid lane. They win the fight on the top side. It's a valiant effort here from Golden Guardians, but the damage dealers were just not really in position. You look at the map, look how far away Stixay is. He's over here. The TP is just now coming in from Licorice on that top side. Everyone's actually going to come back and try to really collapse onto 369. But utilizing that Shroud, you can look at Licorice, he's pretty much already out of the fight immediately.
Yeah, I mean, they do such a good job of spreading out the fight here for 369, and as well, the fact you got Kanavi missing. Look, constantly positioned in front of Knight. They're never letting Golden Guardians hit those skill shots onto the chase, and even as we start to move forward here as well, keep your eyes on missing. As JDG start to go low here, with Gory getting a really smart knock-up here, missing again, hopping in front of Kanavi to make sure that he was able, in front of Knight to tank the hook there, to make sure that Knight was able to escape and keep that damage hook.
Yeah, I mean, Knight was just never really threatened. You know, he's on that left side, he flashes in after that, you know, it was missing in Kanavi in that brush, and Knight, he is the one that you have to deal with. And you can look at the damage tell, 4,300. Knight did about as much as the entire Golden Guardians, it feels like, on that team.
And the important thing here is Ruler's at 0 because he wasn't even there. That entire sequence was JDG making a 4v5 play overall while Ruler was collecting money back in the mid lane. Nearly a 6,000 gold lead now. Baron's going to spawn in 10 seconds. Next, Drake is spawning in 15. And the Golden Guardians are unfortunately at the point of the game where contesting anything in neutral territory is just a steep cliff.
Yeah, I mean, after the play goes bad on top side, now Licorice likely to die here on the bot side.
I don't think there's any way he goes home, man. Knight is just there and ready to pick up another kill.
You know, Golden Guardians were keeping it competitive, but after that failed play on the top side, that was really them kind of betting the game, it feels like, on that. They had to make that play work. If you're not going to respond to mid lane, you give up multiple towers there, you lose on the top side as well, you lose the tier 1 top, also to Knight, who stayed around after that. Now you lose the Dragon. It's like a 2,500 gold lead just between the ADs at this point. Monumental gold lead in the mid lane as well, and your top lane advantage is gone. So Golden Guardians have lost all edges in this game.
And it's only going to balloon further. Once you've lost 2 towers in the mid lane, it's so difficult to hold on to these tier 2s as well, because JDG can just take the quick route across these towers after they push in the mid waves. And we already talked about the range on them. The siege potential on JDG with the composition they have is so disgusting, let alone 369 having pressure on the side. It feels like at this stage, Golden Guardians, as you say, they kind of risked it all, but it just didn't come up for them.
And I'm glad that at least they tried something. I'm glad they took some sort of a risk, recognizing it was going south way too fast. Yeah, it didn't work out, but it's better to at least put up a fight than just hope that they mess up. Because a team like JDG is not going to casually throw the game against you for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the first 15 minutes of the game, Golden Guardians were staying very competitive, but JDG really showing their class. They're just outplaying in these team fights, and it's a trend we've seen, you know, for 4 days in a row now, where these LPL and LCK teams, you know, in the key moments are just outplaying their LCS and LEC counterparts in these fights. They're finding better coordination, they're finding better map movements, and if you go for these fights, and if you're trying to force, you know, team fights over and over and over, these teams will kill you through side lanes.
And I think, Kanavi actually gonna go?
Navi leading the charge there, but can't lock anybody down in any sort of meaningful way. He was pretty far ahead of the rest of his team. Yeah, exactly. Just letting them know, if anybody was behind me, you guys were dead.
Well, and it looks like they just want to set up here potentially around the Baron. It is going to be that Ocean Rift, which is so nice for Maokai, especially when you're playing AP Maokai. All the additional brushes that do spawn makes it a nightmare to actually walk through here in clear vision, unless you have someone like Gory actually doing that first. So it's going to be very difficult for them to control that area. And we know that JDG has a tremendous amount of damage. So if Golden Guardians lose control on that top side, there's always the threat that they're just rushing down Baron.
And when you look at JDG, they're number 1 or number 2 in a lot of stats in LPL, and their objective control is no different. These guys are absolutely adept at controlling all neutral objectives, Drakes, Heralds, Barons, and for Golden Guardians, that's why I had to bring it up earlier. These neutral objectives are so hard to fight for in this game state, but Golden Guardians are getting into it now a little bit. Missing here on the front line, picked up by Stixay. Golden Guardians get 1, but JDG doesn't want to just let him get away with it. Stixay's got 200 HP. He tries to disengage, and 369 forces the flash.
And no one's blocking those shock blasts for Stixxay. You know, you have all these meatballs on the team here. You talked about the juxtaposition on the other side where everyone is just stepping in forward and blocking things for Knight. No one was doing that for Stixxay. He shouldn't have had to use either summoner. The only reason he does is because no one blocked the shock blast coming through from Knight. And now they're just going to go straight back to that Baron. Sure, you got the kill, but you lost out on the trade. Golden Guardians should be aware of this, so they're going to have to try to get out here as fast as possible. We'll see if River can make some magic happen.
River hoping to maybe find a miracle steal, but no, sir. Kanavi's got the smite, he's got the confidence, and they pick up the kill on River for the cherry on top.
It was a nice attempt, but there's not really much you can do now. Gory might be in trouble.
Gory trying to get away from the collapse of JDG, but it's the Golden Guardians who are falling to pieces. 369 picks up his third kill of the game, and a Baron-empowered JDG can push down mid. Knight recalls, but he has his teleport to join back up, drops it on the minion as soon as it gets to the turret, just guaranteeing they can push into the base now. River's back in 5 seconds, but Gory's still dead for 25 more, and JDG is already 10,000 gold up. They're pushing straight into the Nexus turrets. The Maokai ulti goes down. They find plenty of damage onto Hui, onto River. Hui barely gets out, and River's at 100 health. Licorice tries to stand and fight, but the Jax is down, and Knight is unstoppable. JDG take game 1 and smash the Golden Guardians.
An incredible performance from JDG. A lot of people waiting to see exactly how they would look showing up at the international stage, and they are looking absolutely spectacular. The golden left hand walking off stage there with a big smile on his face.
I mean, they just crushed them. The way that they snowballed that game, once they got that big advantage on the top side, it's really, incredible to see how fast they're able to push the pace of the game, how quickly they're able to snowball these advantages, and take what looked for, 15 minutes to be a fairly competitive back and forth game to a Nexus explosion within 10 more. It's just insane.
There's a reason they are the fastest team in the LPL. I want to give credit to Golden Guardians for trying to box with them a little bit in the early game. JDG is a team that's frightening throughout the entirety of a match of League of Legends, but particularly early, and Golden Guardians didn't back down from it. But it's JDG's coordination combined with the individual skill levels, Dag, that you were pointing out missing, and the fact that everybody was blocking for each other. Isaac, you looked at missing in particular, and his movements in that River fight, and how those were able to turn things around and get those carries going. And when these guys work together, it's like one person controlling 5 champions, because everybody's doing exactly what they need to do for the team.
I mean, it's so unfortunate for Golden Guardians, because I actually think they did put up a really good fight in the early stages. Just the fact that,